In the first half of 2026, we're adding close to 1,000 units to our portfolio. So when I talk about how AI fits into real estate investing, I'm not speaking theoretically. Here's exactly where it shows up in my day-to-day and where I'm deliberately not relying on it. And if you're not thinking about this the right way right now, there's a real chance you either overcomplicate this or miss where the actual advantage is. Before I get into that, just to give you a little context on where I'm coming from, I've been investing in real estate for over 25 years. I've invested across multiple markets in the US and across different types of properties, from single-family homes all the way up to a few hundred units at a time. And this isn't something I used to do, it's something I'm still actively doing today. So what I'm gonna share with you here isn't theoretical. It's based on what I'm actually seeing and doing right now. So let's break this down, starting with where AI actually makes a difference first. Because if you understand this part correctly, everything else becomes a lot clearer. The first place AI actually shows up is in finding more deals. Because if you've ever looked for investment properties, you know a lot of the time isn't spent analyzing great deals. It's spent sorting through a lot of average ones. So instead of going through everything manually, I'll use AI to help me search more efficiently. Not just broadly, but with a little more intention around what I'm actually looking for. And one example of how we're doing that is by looking for something we call hidden value. Some people refer to this as value add, but we like the term hidden value because in many cases, it's right there in front of you. It's just not obvious unless you know what you're looking for. This ties back to what we talked about earlier. A big part of finding great deals is understanding what's actually possible. And a lot of that comes from recognizing opportunities that other people miss. Hidden value is often what takes a deal that looks average on the surface and turns it into something much more attractive. But if you're not actively looking for it, it's very easy to overlook. And that's exactly where AI changes the equation. Because once you know what you're looking for, you can use AI to search for those specific characteristics much more efficiently. A very simple example of this would be something like an unfinished basement, but not just any unfinished basement. If you know the specific characteristics that make a basement ideal, the kind that allows you to add square footage, bedrooms, and meaningful value, you can use AI to help identify properties in your market that fit that profile. So instead of just looking at listings broadly, you're now searching with intent. This is where AI really excels. Instead of trying to manually find a needle in a haystack, it becomes much easier to surface those opportunities. So here's how I think about it. It's helping me find more opportunities and making it easier to spot the right ones. But it's still layered on top of everything else I'm already doing. It's not replacing how I find deals, it's just helping me find more of the right ones. Now, once you find more deals, the next bottleneck isn't access, it's how well you think through them. Here's where AI adds value that most people don't expect. For me, it's less about speed and more about improving the quality of how I think about a deal. Because at the end of the day, your analysis is only as good as your assumptions. And this is where AI can be really helpful. It allows you to dig deeper into each assumption and really start to test them out. Instead of just plugging in numbers, you can start asking better questions. For example, something as simple as the monthly rent. I'm not relying on AI to tell me what the rent should be, but I can use it as an additional data point alongside things like a property manager's opinion or market comps. And what that does is help me see if I'm being overly optimistic. It helps me pressure test my assumptions and think more critically about what needs to be true for the deal to work. But here's what I find to be even more valuable. It's also really helpful for spotting blind spots. Because when you're looking at a deal, it's easy to focus on what you see and miss what you're not thinking about. And one of our mentors says it really well. The person with the fewest blind spots wins. And that's exactly how I think about AI and deal analysis. Not to give me answers, but to help me think more deeply, challenge my assumptions, and catch things I might have otherwise missed. Because you don't want to outsource judgment. You still need to understand the deal, the risks, and whether it fits your strategy. AI can help you think better, but it doesn't replace your thinking. So now you found a deal and you've analyzed it. The next question is, what happens after you own it? If the first two areas about finding and analyzing deals, this is where AI shows up most in the actual day-to-day. Because once you own the properties, there are a lot of repetitive tasks. Tenant communication, maintenance coordination, documenting processes, things that need to happen consistently, but don't require deep thinking every time. And this is where AI can be really helpful. I'll use it to draft emails, respond to common tenant questions, and help outline processes or standard operating procedures. It doesn't replace the interaction, but it does make it a lot easier to handle those interactions efficiently. And here's what changes as you scale. Now it's not just about you using AI, it's about the people you work with using it as well. If you have a virtual assistant or a team member, it can help them operate at a higher level. They can use it to communicate more clearly, respond more thoughtfully, and handle situations more consistently. We've even built tools internally for things like investor communications. For example, helping us draft quarterly updates for investors or respond to common investor questions in our syndication business. And you can apply the same idea at any level, whether that's responding to tenant questions, guest communication for an Airbnb, or just creating more consistent processes across your portfolio. And here's the distinction that matters, because the goal here isn't to automate everything. It's to reduce the amount of time spent on repetitive work and improve the quality and consistency of how things are done. But what doesn't change is what actually makes a property run well. Tenant experience still matters. Communication still matters. And those aren't things that are going to be fully automated just yet. So for me, AI is less about replacing operations and more about supporting them. It helps me stay more organized, respond faster, and build better systems. Not just for myself, but for everyone on the team. Now, beyond operations, there's another layer most investors don't think about. And this is where mistakes can get expensive. And this is the fourth area, one that most people don't think about. It's not the day-to-day, it's the higher level decisions that can move the needle on an entire deal. One example of that is renovations. A lot of value-add deals involve some level of construction, and that's an area where small mistakes can become expensive very quickly. AI can be helpful here in thinking through the assumptions, planning the scope, and identifying things you may not have considered. It helps you make better decisions going into the project and as things come up along the way. The second area is reviewing contracts and legal documents. In real estate, you're constantly dealing with agreements, purchase contracts, loan documents, and property management agreements. These can be complex, and it's easy to miss details. AI can help you review them more efficiently, highlight key terms, and surface things you may want to take a closer look at. It's not a replacement for an attorney, but it helps you ask better questions and be much more informed in those conversations. And the third is building your team. Finding the right property manager, contractor, handyman, cleaner is one of the most important parts of being successful in real estate. AI can help you research those people more thoroughly. You can use it to gather information, look at reviews, identify potential red flags, and even find operators who aren't as visible online. Across all three of those areas, the role is the same: better decisions, less risk, higher level execution. Before I close, here's what I'm actually careful about, because AI can make things faster and it can make mistakes faster if you're not paying attention. The first is over-relying on AI. AI can give you answers quickly, and those answers can sound very confident, but that doesn't mean they're always accurate or based on the right assumptions. Don't treat it as a source of truth, a tool that helps me think, not something that replaces my judgment. The second is skipping the fundamentals. If you don't understand what makes a good deal, faster analysis doesn't really help. In some cases, it can actually make things worse because you're moving faster without fully understanding what you're doing. And this ties back to what we talked about earlier. Your assumptions matter. And if those assumptions are off, AI can just reinforce them. Third is overcomplicating things. There are a lot of tools, a lot of features, and a lot of ways you could be using AI, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should. At least right now, most of the value I'm seeing comes from using it in simple, practical ways, not trying to build overly complex systems that are hard to manage. And the last one is most important. Real estate is still a relationship-driven business. The best deals, the best opportunities, and the best partnerships often come through people. AI can support how you operate, but it doesn't replace trust, reputation, or relationships. So the way I think about it is this: AI is a powerful tool, but it works best when it's layered on top of strong fundamentals, good judgment, and real-world experience. Before I close, this part matters just as much as everything we've covered, because AI can make you faster, but can also make mistakes faster. So when you step back and look at all of this, here's how I think about it. AI is a powerful tool, and it's clearly going to be playing a bigger role in real estate investing over time. But it doesn't change what actually makes a good investor. Your ability to find the right opportunities, think through deals, and make good decisions, and build the right relationships. Those are still the things that matter most. If anything, AI just amplifies what you're already doing. It can help you move faster, think more clearly, and operate more efficiently. But the foundation still has to be there. And this is the part most people miss. AI won't make you a great investor, but it will amplify whether you are one or not. And as things become more efficient and more competitive, relationships and community become even more important, because the best opportunities are still going to come through people. So surrounding yourself with the right people, learning from others, and being part of a community becomes a real advantage. And if that's something you're looking for, we do have a free public community where you can connect with other investors and continue learning. And if you're at the point where you're ready to take the next step and want help putting together a strategy that fits your situation, you can also book a free strategy call with our team and talk it through with a real person. That's a chance to look at where you are, where you want to go, and what the right next move might look like for you. Links are in the description. I'll see you in the next video.